Hi YouTube and happy October. I just got back from work and in this video I'll show you the tool I use to get to and from work every day. I live in the DC metro area, so it's great to bike to work. It's very easy, especially on sidewalks. It turns out though, on sidewalks, what you really want is a bike with small tires. A bike like this Huffy Touriste Japanese folding bike here that has 16-inch wheels, which will start and stop easily and also maneuver around pedestrians and obstacles. The tires are also knobby, so they can handle the rough bricks and pavement pretty nicely. I got this from a seller in Worcester, Massachusetts for $100 on eBay, and it's worked amazingly so far. I've probably gone about 200 miles, I'd say, on it, including just fun trips as well as biking to and from work, which adds up to around 25 miles a week just going to work. My work's about 2.3, 2.4 miles from here. And this is not really a Huffy in the classic sense. It's a Japanese OEM that's rebadged for Huffy. I've taken a look at the dates, and I want to say most of the parts are from late 1980 or 1981 and 1982. It's a real delight for repairs because it has a 3-speed, let's get the logo on there, Shimano 3S hub. This is a lot better than the early Shimanos, which had weak overhardened pawls that would snap if you pedaled too hard. It's quite good quality. Again, the date code on this puts it at 1981, but some of the other parts suggest that this was put together in 1982. I had to do a bit of adjustment, but overall it shifts quite nicely. It should be in, yes, it should be in neutral, or not neutral, normal, definitely not neutral, normal position here. Let's get a close-up of that, which is second gear. Yep, and you can see it's adjusted just right with that red line in the middle of the bell crank. The shift lever will pull and push this bell crank, which pushes in a push rod and gives you that nice internal gear shifting. Now, why is this so good for maintenance and commuting? Well, it's not a derailleur. All the gears are inside. They're sealed from the elements. This supposedly will last 50, 100,000, or 100,000 miles just with, adding a few drops of oil every year. It's surprisingly easy to maintain. I think really the hardest thing is getting that bell crank and cable adjusted properly. Anyway, so very easy to repair, very reliable, good as a commuter bike. It feels pretty solid, the bike overall. It's high-tensile steel, so it probably weighs about 30, 31 pounds. Definitely heavier than the aluminum bike that I found, as well as my chromoly Dahan folder. It has some nice aluminum fenders and a chrome chain guard to keep the rain from getting on your pants and the oil from getting on your pants respectively. As I mentioned, a Shimano 3S hub. I notice when I hammer this or I pedal kind of hard, I don't have any issues with this slipping into a neutral position between gears, which happens with the British Sturmey Archers. That can really hurt your knees or cause you to crash. There's a nice rack here where I use a bungee cord to hold my U-lock for storing this at work. Nice sprung saddle built in. I put this neoprene Schwinn seat for comfort. There's the hinge. We'll see how this folds in a moment. Some Sugino Idol cranks and the original pedals, which still seem to spin pretty well. There's your big crank there. Huffy decal and Touriste kind of scratched up. Definitely this got a lot of Massachusetts spring, fall, and winters. Again, I bought it from Worcester, Massachusetts, $100 with $50 shipping. Excellent deal. There's our front fender, caliper brakes, as we saw on the back. Those do a pretty decent job. I'll give you a quick example here. I guess not very useful example. And yeah, so that stops decently. I have front and rear lights on this for safety. Let's get that in focus. Yeah, there's our rear light. Smartphone holder. I'll be using my ES400, I guess, as a bike computer. A nice cheap Walmart bell right here. Oops. I use that at intersections and when I pass pedestrians very carefully. Rear view mirror, also from Walmart. There's me. And here's the shifter. I notice when I go from 3 to 2 to 1, everything shifts okay. Or excuse me, from 1 to 2 to 3, everything shifts okay. But when I go from 3 to 2, I have to shift a little bit past 2 to 1 in order to get in second gear. I'll have to do something like that. I don't know if this is just because of the age of the hub. I've definitely cleaned it out, the hub, and re-lubed it with Tri-Flow and synthetic 20W50 low viscosity motor oil. And that's helped a lot because at the beginning when I just got this, there's just grease in there and it took a lot of effort to shift here. Again, definitely better than your typical Shimano hubs. I'll fold this up, note the quick release seat and handlebar adjustments there. This folds up quite compactly, even if it is heavy. There's some nice Araya rims. I've put in new tubes, got this up to 60 psi or so. Oh, another thing, it doesn't have a kickstand. It has, I don't know what you would call it. Not a single kickstand, but a double kickstand that will hoist this up and lift the rear wheel off the ground. And that, I think, was designed for shopping. There's also Sekais that are labeled as such, and Bridgestone Picnicas. So this is probably some Japanese standard OEM folding frame that is rebadged for different companies. I added in this cool BMX reflector. What I'll probably do in the future is move my shifter and brake line wires through that hole there, just to keep them out of the way of the caliper brakes themselves. I misrouted one cable and tore a little bit of the plastic, but that's still doing okay. Yeah, so you can see that's a Suntour quick release. And my front light there for safety. Got those high beams, and those work pretty nicely. It was, I think, $5 or $10 for those lights. Anyway, so for the last and most important feature, let's move the bike a little bit and fold it up. There we go. The folding mechanism is very sturdy. You don't feel any give like you would with, say, a Rog Pony. Also doesn't cut your fingers like I've heard a Rog Pony folding mechanism does. There's that quick release to stiffen it, and then a lock nut. There we go. So you got a close-up of that. And then what I do is I take this and I get my pedal oriented properly. Oop, might have to redo that just so my pedal is out of the way. Okay. There we go. Now that shouldn't be an issue anymore. And then that will fold. Okay, yeah, I had to get the camera out of the way for a second, and you can see how nicely that folds. I can store that beautifully in my bedroom of my apartment. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at a classic 1981 3-speed folding bike that's been very reliable for getting me to and from work for the past month or so. Take care, everybody. Please like and subscribe as always. Bye now.